Will the Xbox reign supreme in 2017? The lineup basically is Scalebound, State of Decay 2, Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, Halo Wars 2, Conan Exiles. We have Cuphead, We Happy Few, Phantom Dusk Remaster. You have Scorpio, which will launch holiday of 2017. Possible Oculus integration, if not their own headsets that they sort of teamed up with multiple different manufacturers to sort of build for the Xbox One as well as is for PC as well. So we're going to see a good bit of competition in 2017 among the headsets. And then also we sort of floated around before, maybe Halo 6, maybe? Question mark. I mean, if they really want to get Scorpios to fly off the shelf, I could see them doing that. And then also Forza 7 as well. So
yeah, and of course they have like this huge third-party support, but it's like the console exclusive. They have this in comparison with like PS4 and the Switch, of course. So yeah, well, what do you think? Like your first reaction when you see like this lineup, and maybe in terms of personal preferences, but also in terms of will this like be a commercial success for them? Looking at these titles,
what I would tell Phil Spencer if I were to see him in person is, I like you, man. You're a great person. You're trying to do good, but you guys do not have the exclusives that are gonna pull money out of people's wallets come holiday. It's just not the case. I mean, I've said it before, it's like going to a vending machine with Sony. You go there and there's a huge variety of different types of products that you can get from it, where with Xbox you go there and it's literally the same stuff just branded differently, and I think that creates a very big issue for them. And we've discussed the fact that they don't really have the capability to really make that eye-popping game like Sony does with all their development studios that they're partnered with. And so it's a big issue. And so if they don't do anything during E3 this year, I don't really think the Scorpio is going to do well.
Yeah, I mean they must, and of course what I was also looking at with the like maybe Oculus integration, because I think their like own VR headsets are more like focused on like using it in like work environment, like for Word and PowerPoint and stuff like that, while the Oculus is obviously like a gaming focus. And if you like launch a new VR headset in 2017, you have like this, well PSVR has a lot of games in development, stuff like that, so you have like this, you need to get that up and running. And with the Oculus, that is already up and running. Oculus is already spending a ton of money on games, and they want as much people using that platform as well. And of course, every Oculus you buy, you get like a Xbox One controller. So there is already this sort of partnership going on. So I can totally see them announcing this Oculus integration for Scorpio. That could really help. But still, that would be, okay, buy this new Scorpio console for probably $500, something like that. And this Oculus headset for $600. So you're looking at a $1,100 investment. And that will really turn a lot of people off, because console gaming is usually cheap, and if you have like an Xbox One S like sitting next to it for probably $250, if it's not going to be cheaper when the Scorpio is launched, it will be super interesting. And I totally agree. I mean, we can't like ignore the fact that a lot of people loved Halo Wars, so Halo Wars 2 will be fun for them. Sea of Thieves looked like a fun game, but it will not be this full game. State of Decay 2, same story. Scalebound is a game that will be for a really small audience. Of course, a guy with headphones with a dragon on its side. Yeah, it's like super Japanese. Crackdown 3 doesn't look like this amazing graphics wise. I mean, they of course have this like weird color approach, but it's not like this game that someone walks into the store, sees the box art and thinks, oh my god, I need to buy this. And they don't have any of those games. And they will of course have the backwards compatible as well. We can applaud that. They Phil Spencer said that 50% of the Xbox One users is buying that or playing like Xbox 360 games, so that's pretty huge. But apart from that, they really need to bring out the big guns, and I think that they will do it, for example, with a Cyberpunk sort of like exclusive content announcement during their E3 press conference, that they come up the stage and say, CD Projekt Red, like last year they of course announced that Gwent card game is here as well, but now it's Cyberpunk, and here you see it on an Xbox One, but it will not be a console exclusive or an exclusive. It will release on PS4. I mean, CD Projekt Red would not be so stupid to not do that. So I think that they really need to pull another Rise of the Tomb Raider, but then be smart about it. Like, look at the upcoming games and see, okay, this one will really do well. Let's make a deal with them. Let's make sure that we get it first, or we get it like exclusively. I mean, Sony is doing that as well a little bit with like Street Fighter. That was like only on PS4 and PC. Of course, that didn't do well like in the end, but Street Fighter is a huge franchise. So of course they said that they were not going to do this, that they were like stepping away from these console exclusive things, but they have to do it in order to make this console stand out next to a PS4. Although, and we already like discussed a little bit about this, that maybe the Scorpio will be this Steam machine that the Steam machines aren't, like with some exclusive like Microsoft games, but also like the whole Steam library. So you have like a lot of other games that the PS4 doesn't have, because right now they're like, okay, we have like, yes, some games, but Sony is releasing, I mean, we will talk about that in the Sony topic. If you look at that lineup, it's like 2 times the size and like way more like games that will have a 9 on Metacritic or higher and will probably be a huge commercial success. So they really need to do something, and maybe that pull that PC library thing could really help them. But yeah, I don't think that's easy said than done. So easier.
I would not want to be Phil Spencer trying to compete with Sony right now. I just want to. I cannot imagine how much work he does in a day to try and just do something. And it sounds like we're like some Sony fanboys or anything like that. I mean, I love PC. I mean, I'm all for PC. Sony's just like sort of the secondary thing for me, because they still have some good exclusives that I do like to play, and so I tend to get a PS4. I sold one of mine recently, but I'm probably gonna get a Pro. And that's really the thing, is I don't at all care for Scorpio. Like there's really no reason for me to buy a Scorpio. And I think when people go into stores in the holiday and they see a Scorpio on the shelves for $500 and they see a PlayStation 4 Pro for $300 bundled with Horizon, it's gonna be a no-brainer. They're gonna be like, why would I spend $200 extra and not get a game when I can just get the PlayStation 4 Pro with a game and little Jimmy's gonna be happy? Like, why would that? I just don't really. And that's the thing too, is like, even if it's at $400, that's still $100 price difference. And that's really the thing where initially I didn't agree with Sony releasing the Pro as early as they did, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's smart in the sense that people already are going to want to spend the money, and it's going to price drop, so there's going to be an even more compelling reason against the Scorpio as to why to buy that product. So even though they were first and there was issues, they're going to sort of have the last laugh here, I think. And I don't think the Scorpio is going to flop. It might, because of the price, depending on what it is. I really wish that they would just announce what the price is, because I'm really skeptical, because to get 4K 60 frames per second, like within a Gears of War 2 natively, it's a pricey endeavor, man. It's a very pricey endeavor. I mean, I have a 4K TV right now, and I haven't gamed too much on it, even though I have a GTX 1080, which is a $600 graphics card. You know, that's more than 2 consoles right now. Well, basically 2 consoles. Like if I take 2 Xbox One S's, that still is probably going to undershoot the price of my graphics card. So like, what are they going to put in this thing that's going to allow it to hit 60 frames per second at 4K, when even the top PC hardware can do it, but still struggles with it at 60 frames per second? I mean, I guess if they tank the graphics, that might be a thing, but then people are going to notice that, and that's going to completely defeat the reason why they would even buy one. So I don't know, man. I think Microsoft is going to take the L in 2017. Hardcore. I think Nintendo could even be super lackluster in 2017, which I don't think is going to be the case, but they could be and still beat Microsoft at this point, because I don't see anything compelling. I think the Scorpio is going to struggle, and I feel bad for Phil Spencer.
It will be interesting if people are willing to spend so much money for that 4K 60 FPS, while the PS4 Pro is like giving you the option to do 4K 30 FPS and of course 1080p 60 FPS in some games that don't have it. I mean, will you spend like $200 more to get like the 4K 60 FPS? It will be super interesting. I have an article in front of me right now saying that the 4K 60 FPS will depend on the developer. So they're not like aiming for that for every game, but it's certainly possible with some games. Well, on the PS4 Pro, I don't think that that's possible. Maybe with some like smaller games, but on the other hand, the smaller games will not like, push the 4K 60 FPS. It will not really make sense for them. So it will be interesting. What else does the Scorpio have to make it like worth your while if you already own an Xbox One, to really make that? Because with the PS4 Pro, I bought the PS4 Pro, bought it for $360 and sold my PS4 for $150, so got it for $210. Had an upgrade in hard drive because I had a 500 gig PS4, now have a 1 terabyte. So I like, it was like not a huge investment for me, and something that I just wanted to do to, because I enjoy some extra bells and whistles here and there. Well, with the Scorpio, it's like they have to do something else if they really want to do this $500 price, because by the time the Scorpio hits the Xbox One S, you will have a hard time selling that for $150. I think if probably the S will be $199 maybe. So how do you make this $300 difference? Well, as far as we know right now, the Scorpio will not have like really exclusive games. How do you make that like worth it? It will be so interesting to watch how they are going to sell this thing, and they will probably do it with third-party games like a Cyberpunk, showing that on their new console. But on the other hand, you have like a God of War that looks insane as well, and that's running on a regular PS4. We haven't even seen PS4 Pro footage yet, so that will also be insane. It also like is about the art direction, and in the end it's all about the software. And you can have a Gears of War 4 4K 60 FPS, but on the in the end everyone played Gears of War 4 already because it's a year-old game. So that's why you also think like they have to have some sort of Halo title. But I really hope that they will have a new IP that could really show off this like new technology that could really like make me go, oh wow, I need to play this. And right now we both have like some sort of thing like, okay, not really, I will skip. And even if you wanted to play it, you can just go into the Windows Store and buy it there. So
I mean, you mentioned also like showing it off on like the Scorpio or whatever, but that's an issue too, because everyone's gonna be watching E3 on 1080p or 720p screens for the most part, and even if they watch it on a 4K TV, it's gonna be streamed in 1080p or 720p. So it's gonna be the same issue with like the PlayStation 4 Pro, but the PlayStation 4 Pro at least had the, I guess you could say, advantage that it was only $400, and during the holidays there's a lot of sales to knock it down to like $350. So I mean, when you have the Scorpio, that I don't see it releasing for anything less than $500, but even if it does, there's still going to be that price difference there. And then if you go to E3 and you show off games that are running on the Scorpio, but you really can't tell too much of a difference because it's being streamed on like 1080p or 720p with really terrible bitrate on YouTube, it's going to be very difficult for them, and I wish them the best, but man, do I not want to be in Phil Spencer's shoes right now, because if I was him, I'd call up Sony, be like, you guys have any job openings right now? I really don't want to be here. Like, I would abandon
he
ship.
Probably, he probably knew that this was coming though with Sony. Like, I mean, they had like all these studios that were silent about what they were working on, so he could see this happening, and hopefully he had some sort of backup plan. Right now it doesn't look like it, but I totally want to be blown away here by Microsoft. To its credit though, and also something that they really can look at and do better is of course the PS4 Pro presentation, because that was like really bad. So hopefully they will not show us a TV with HDR and how good it looks. Just show us the games and make us care that way, because and the announcement of the Scorpio was also like really awesome. Just showed developers really caring about this system. Showed some like quick footage, talk about the specs and stuff like that. So that was like they already had like they have a nice like step in the right direction. Now they have like to run the whole way to make everyone care. But it will be super interesting. Right now I'm like I find it hard to believe that Microsoft will do. I mean, it will be an interesting year for them, but I don't think that it will be a good year for them as far as if I look at the things they have right now. Well, if we look at Sony in this time period, I mean, they will probably also announce new games at E3 like they always do. So they will have, apart from this huge lineup, some other new games from studios that we don't know what they're working on.
Exactly. And so yeah, I mean, I guess that wraps it up. I think we would both agree that we both think that Microsoft's going to be the worst of them in 2017, right? Out of all the platforms.
Yeah, it will be one of the. I think that Microsoft will be the most interesting to watch, like apart from Nintendo maybe, because they're like on their own island. But in terms of like the mainstream console like race between Sony and Microsoft, and you have the PC as well doing their thing, like with the like huge titles like Red Dead, Nintendo's just doing their own thing. It will be like the most interesting to watch Microsoft in 2017 in terms of like the mainstream console business. Yeah.